But we have spent a lot of money. We're not going to put $250,000 in the last 3 years. Yeah. But it's not. I mean, all these windows completely redone.
We had
Nothing for me.
Yes.
sorry.
Let's start, in case you miss it, with the repair. The end clear story window is Dr. Bill Wingfield of Ashland, late Dr. Bill Wingfield, who was the Chairman Emeritus of Wing Society window. And the Society is still there to money for the church. Sorry, this one here. This one here is James Wingfield Reuben III and Susan of Illinois. And they were the ones who solved where Thomas Wingfield came initially into the New World. And I think we'll find if we look further down, there'll be another one saying Dale and Ray Ruff of Maryland in another window after that. I think I should ask you to tell them how the church was built. I know it was built by the will of John Wingfield, who was Chief of Staff to the Black Prince, died in 1362 of the plague, and the Black Prince paid for his funeral. I think it was £26, 4 shillings, which was a fortune in those days, so it must have been very grand. And then his widow and his brother built this church over his effigy, roughly.
Yes.
You'd like to take
Yes, the original, everything that's been said is absolutely true. Very well connected was Sir John Wingfield. He had provided large loans to Edward III, as well as his involvement chief of staff with the Black Prince and so on. And a soldier, well connected, very wealthy in his own right, married into a lot of money, and they only had one daughter, Catherine, and the daughter married into the Delacour family, a chap called Michael, and that was the first Michael. He achieved great things, did the first Michael. He became Chancellor of England, and he was made an Earl, but he came, as you know, from a merchant family, a wealthy merchant family. I don't think that went down too well with the ancient landed aristocracy. So he was indicted, fairly or otherwise, for mismanagement and for corruption. And he was impeached, stripped of his titles, all his money, and he ended up in Paris, a very poor man. And so that was the first Michael. Now his son, another Michael, the second Michael, the tomb is here, he also did very well, but he was more of a soldier, which went down better in those days. And in fact, he fought quite a lot in France and for Henry V. And he, in fact, was at Harfleur, just before the Battle of Agincourt, he died of a fever. And his tomb in 1415, and that was the second Michael, who married into the Stafford family, the Earl of Stafford, Hugh Stafford's daughter, and that is why you've got the Stafford knots. When you look at those rather nice arches in a minute, you'll find the Stafford knots from the Stafford family, as well as the Delacour emblems as well. So that was the second Michael, and he became an Earl, going to do too well against the French. So he proposed that there should be some negotiations taking place. And And that, of course, did not go down well with the aristocracy. Much of their wealth was derived from good wars and all the things that went on with them, the looting and the rest. So he, in turn, was indicted, and he, in turn, was impeached. But he, a little different from the others, he was not what they call a tainted. Therefore, although he was impeached, his family were allowed to keep their wealth, they were allowed to keep their titles, but he himself was banished out of the country. And he left here from Ipswich, I think it was the end of April 1450. But he hadn't gone very far in his boat, and the boat or the ship was intercepted by the Royal Navy under the control of the Yorkists, and he was summarily executed. They tell us with a rusty sword, I've no idea, but anyway, he was summarily executed. Poor fellow. So that was the end of Duke William, and we don't have his. He married Alice, who was the granddaughter of Chaucer's granddaughter, and Thomas Chaucer's, Geoffrey Chaucer's granddaughter, Thomas Chaucer's daughter. A very wealthy woman in her own right, and she is buried at Ewell, near Oxford. And I believe, and those who've seen the church, the chancel of their church is very, very similar to this, almost a replica of this church, but somewhat smaller. So that was Duke William and Alice. Now Alice, the reason I mentioned them really was because they're responsible for the last 14 feet or so of the chancel. The chancel was about 14 feet less long than it is now, and the two chapels either side were that much shorter. And around 1430 time, this was extended by Alice and her husband, and to what you see now, really in honour of the second Michael. And that's the wooden monument there, and those beautiful Lincoln stone arches were erected at that time. And I'm told that they're all very colourful. If you look on there, you see you've got the wings of the Wingfields, you've got the knots, the staffed knots, and you've got the letters of the Delapoles. And they were all up there, all very colourful. And that was really due to Alice, a lot due to Alice herself. And they had a son, John, who also is quite notable, and his monument is over there, and you'll see it, because the very strange thing was that Duke William was murdered, let's put it that way, by the Navy under the control of the Yorkists. But his son married the daughter of the Duke of York, Elizabeth Plantagenet. And Elizabeth Plantagenet's tomb was there. So the son, John, married, he had a fairly quiet life, and I think kept out of politics and wars largely, so he survived. But he got pretty near the throne in the sense that his wife was, as they say, sister to Richard III and Edward IV. So well connected. In fact, so much so that his own son, another John, who's not here, who became Earl of Lincoln, he was designated presumptive heir by Richard III when Richard III himself was on the throne. Of course, that was a short-lived thing because Richard III came to grief at Bosworth, and once he had lost control, then really the Delapoles were somewhat doomed as well. So John, Earl of Lincoln, who fought with him at Bosworth, I think he escaped from there, but subsequently he was involved in an insurrection. Anyway, he died in Stoke not many years later. So, and then their children, in turn, I can't tell you in detail, but they didn't survive many more years, and they were either beheaded or something. And the whole family disappeared around the middle of 1500s, I think. Sheila kept here, she'll tell me. When was it, Sheila? She's gone. No, she's
that was the end of the Delapoles? That was the end of the Delapoles at that time.
So that really is the monument. So the monuments you have here now are one, Sir John Wingfield, you'll see on the left here. The first Michael who was made an Earl is not here, he died in Paris. The second one is over there on the right, which is a very nice wooden effigy, wooden monument. And Of course, Duke William isn't here at all, but his son John, who married Elizabeth Plantagenet, she's over there, and that's a very nice alabaster tomb, beautiful tomb. Richard III Society had it all beautifully cleaned for us about 10 years ago. They had 2 people here working for a whole month with little brushes and things. It cost them £2,000 then to do it. It was very kind. So that really is the history of the church, or the people associated with the church. And as has been pointed out, we've done 2 lots of. The church had a lot done to it around 1866, a huge amount. I think all these pews are there. Where's Sheila? She'll tell us this. Sheila, that's right, isn't it? When were all these pews put in? Around 1860 time or something? 1866. There we are, 1866 time. So a lot of work was done then. And more recently we've had 2 big programs. About 14 years ago, we had the roof done over there and the porch. We spent something like £25,000. But in the last 2 or 3 years, we've spent £250,000, some of it with your money, which you kindly provided us with. But all told, it was £250,000. And what we did, without going into too much detail, is all the clear-story windows, and I think all the way through here, right through to the end, I think there were 16 of them, all the glass was taken out, and all the lead, you see, a little diamond around, that's all absolutely new leads. They've all been, and every little diamond piece of glass was taken away and cleaned, and then all the stonework was refurbished as appropriate. I mean, some of it, right at the far end, it had to be renewed. But a lot of this was quite good. So that was done on these top windows. As I told somebody earlier, the great east window, the main east window there, the same thing was done. It was taken out completely. And every tiny little piece of diamond glass was sent away and cleaned. The stained glass went to specialist people, conservators, and all the lead was renewed and the glazing bars across. And a lot of the stonework all over was replaced, especially at the top. So we did that, and then in the vestry, which you'll see, we've got medieval glass in there, and that was similarly treated. Now on top of that, we spent a lot of money on the roofs, because in the first phase we did the roof just there, stopping at the Lady Chapel. And this time we took the roof right through to the Lady Chapel and the whole length of here. And the original, it was a thing called Neuralite, like a thick felt was on it. That was stripped off. But what we didn't realise was how bad the timbers were underneath. And we've got an example of a timber over there, which you can see. It's got a tremendous amount of death wax beads in it. And it was really that, replacing this oak with some nice, good solid, what they call heartwood. You know, the middle bit of oak, I don't really know much about it. But it was interesting to see them drilling. It took 2 men to turn a drill, you know, it was that hard. So it was man-hours, I suppose, that really cost the money. So all these roofs were repaired as appropriate, completely sprayed, and then new lead put. So we hope they're here for another 100 years or something, those. But we go on from one to
Will you now paint once the stone now is all refit?
Will we paint?
Will you paint? I mean, you will paint, right? I mean,
Are you talking about the walls?
Yes.
Well, lime wash them, you mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, like this repair over here, like for instance, where you see.
Yes. Lime washing. Yes,
Lime
yes.
washing.
In that case, yes. Painting in the sense of painting a lime wash.
Right,
Yes.
right.
They have to put this on, whereas they insist we put that on because it breathes or something. It lets moisture go in and out,
Oh,
It's a seal.
so it doesn't trap it. You couldn't put. What a good question. I'm going to refer that to somebody else. Where's Sheila Kent? Sheila, when was the church named St Andrews? Sheila's very good at these historical things, and I'm not. Question: when did the
Can I please
church?
say something? I can't answer the question. I'm afraid we've only got 20 minutes, and I know half of you want to ask lots of questions, really, and half of you want to photograph. Please feel free, the photographers.
I have finished now.
I'm not trying to hurry because there'll be more questions, I'm sure.
But I can't answer that one. Sheila, can you answer? When did the church? What is the word that it became known as St Andrews? It had to be.
Well, it F-A-I-T-H, but 1392 it was built. Is that what you mean?
1392. You think that St Andrews would date from about 1392? St Andrews, yes.
It's originally.
That's what I'm giving.
Why does that change so much?
Can I just thank everybody, as members of the Society, for your very generous support of the Church financially in the past. We are very conscious of how much of all of this has been done with your support and the others you represent here today. And we are very grateful indeed for that. We are a very small village, as you will by now have detected, and this is a very large and magnificent building to upkeep. And we are tremendously grateful for everybody from outside our borders, like yourselves, who have made this possible. So as Vicar, and following on from what Bernard has so ably said, may I just underline how grateful we are to what all of you have done in the past. And we very much hope that you will enjoy and appreciate what you are able to see here this afternoon. Thank you very much indeed.
Can I just add one point? I'm not topping that because it's a different thing. We are now about, we think, to embark on a further refurbishment work on the tower, which is around the £100,000 mark. So that is our next thing, because as you can see, there are some little cracks there, but if you climb up the tower inside, you'll find bigger ones. And that tower has got to be strengthened in all sorts of clever ways. So just to leave it there.
You resemble my father a great deal. Mine too. Yeah, it's all his eyebrows.
I don't think, my chances of that, I don't think can be very great, but I'd like to think so. Of course, but you won't get, you'll find that when you get to the top, it gets soft. Now these have a great screen across here. From there to here, I guess yes.
Oh, I'm not trying to be silly about it, but your eyebrows, your nose, and face, you passed away, we'll probably go at age 92. Including our society. That was for keeping coffee, was it? No, it wasn't. It was for the priest to tell the players how to keep pouring rain.
To come and see it looking at its best, really.
Yes, it looks marvelous.
It's the light is very much better in here now because it's usually fairly early on Sunday morning when we have services, and very often rather dark.
Yeah, that's what it's symbol. That's a symbol.
It means, right? The thing that it means.
You can go back up now, Allison.
It's okay. I was just saying that.
Everybody wants to get a picture from the center.
Oh, 3 crowns at the top. That is in fact the synod. And when the Lord may hang down here.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you through, Vance?
Sean, you'll definitely want half an hour in Wingfield College. This.
Oh, I've gotten that. What's in there?
Nothing.
Nothing in there?
That's all.
Okay.
The Wingfield ones are the middle one.
Yeah, the one on the
left-hand
left, yeah.
What are these slots?
I don't know what these are for. I don't know. I also don't. In the back of my mind, it's you can get it.
Was John P. Perry, Wingfield.
Something about the